Let's be honest, in the current gaming landscape, your backlog is probably a mile long, and every release feels like a gamble on your wallet. Finding that genuinely underrated gem, the one that delivers an experience way beyond its initial buzz, feels like discovering a secret level. That's exactly what this list is about, cutting through the noise to showcase the masterpieces that didn't get the marketing budget of a blockbuster movie. Are you ready to dive into 20 unique worlds that offer massive value for money and a narrative punch that few mainstream titles can match? Let's stop settling for the usual suspects and find your next favorite obsession. The Solus Project throws you into an alien world after your ship is destroyed, leaving you as the sole survivor. Immediately, the game establishes a sense of crushing isolation and beautiful, terrifying wilderness. The core of the experience revolves around intense survival mechanics, managing your hunger, thirst, and body temperature while navigating a gorgeous but deadly environment. The feeling of finally making shelter or finding a stable water source is intensely satisfying and completely earned. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just a brutal simulator. As you explore, the remnants of an ancient, enigmatic civilization start to emerge, transforming your survival ordeal into an atmospheric, story-driven mystery. This slow drip of lore, told through cryptic ruins and audio logs, gives every small discovery a huge narrative weight. It successfully blends the constant pressure of a survival sim with the intrigue of a deep sci-fi adventure, making you care just as much about the next plot point as your next meal. Ultimately, the Solus Project provides an incredible, moody canvas for self-reliance and discovery. It manages to feel both expansive and intimately personal, forcing you to think, adapt, and piece together a story of galactic proportions all by yourself. If you appreciate a game that trusts you to figure things out and rewards exploration with genuine payoff, this deeply atmospheric title is a mandatory playthrough that delivers emotional and mechanical depth. Pacific Drive is a brilliant premise wrapped in a roguelite survival horror structure. You and your rusty station wagon are trapped within the eerie, radiation-soaked confines of the Olympic exclusion zone. The real star of the show is the car, which isn't just your transportation but your lifeline, your moving base, and a character in its own right, forcing you into a deeply engaging mechanical loop of maintenance and desperate improvisation. The genius of this game is the relationship you build with your vehicle. Every successful run involves scavenging for new parts, fixing broken tires, and constantly managing the growing list of weird supernatural quirks the zone inflicts on your car. You know that moment when you're barely escaping a geomagnetic storm, smoke pouring from the engine, and the radio crackling with cryptic warnings? Pacific Drive is built on that tension. The moment-to-moment gameplay is a unique blend of high-speed flight and methodical garage management. This title is a fantastic example of a game that finds immense value in its high-stakes core loop. The constant threat, the environmental storytelling, and the sheer satisfaction of customizing your car into a road warrior make every trip into the zone a memorable, white-knuckle experience. For anyone who loves survival mechanics but craves a narrative with a strange, compelling sci-fi edge, Pacific Drive is a required pit stop that will keep you coming back for more. Imagine a group of survivors stranded in the harsh, sub-zero wilderness of Alaska after a plane crash. That's the starting point of the Wild 8, but the story quickly spirals into something much more complex than a simple survival game. It's an unforgiving top-down experience that demands smart resource management, strategic hunting, and crucially cooperation, whether you're playing alone or with friends. The world itself is the main antagonist here. The stunning, cold landscapes are hiding everything from rabid wolves to bizarre supernatural anomalies, turning every scavenging run into a tense, calculated risk. The rhythm of chopping wood, setting up camp, and desperately searching for warmth is meditative until a sudden blizzard or an aggressive pack of animals shatters the peace. And here's where it gets interesting. The deeper you delve into the frozen world, the more you uncover dark secrets surrounding an abandoned research facility, hinting at a mystery far greater than your immediate survival. The Wild 8 offers superb long-term value by perfectly balancing its survival grind with a compelling narrative reward. The shift from simply staying alive to uncovering the dark history of the environment provides a satisfying sense of meaningful progression. If you're looking for a challenging survival game with a stylized aesthetic and a strong, spooky core mystery that rewards methodical play, this is one to immediately add to your queue. Morbid, The Seven Acolytes is an incredibly refined and stylish entry in the Souls-like niche. It doesn't just copy the formula, it iterates on it with its distinct atmosphere and clever sanity system, providing an engaging, high-skill experience that feels deeply rewarding to master. For those who love brutal difficulty paired with rich dark fantasy lore and genuinely unnerving visuals, this is a must-play that delivers an immense amount of challenge and style. Step into the gritty gothic world of Morbid: The Seven Acolytes, an intense isometric action RPG that wears its Souls-like inspiration proudly on its sleeve. This game plunges you into a world infected by the malevolent Gahar, tasking you as the last striver to take down the titular Seven Acolytes. The atmosphere alone is worth the price of admission, featuring genuinely unsettling enemy designs and beautifully macabre pixel art that oozes dread. The combat is fast, visceral, and punishing, relying on a system of stamina management and precisely timed dodges, which is exactly what fans of the genre crave. But what elevates Morbid is its unique sanity mechanic, where the more you expose yourself to the horrors of the world, the more powerful and unstable you become. This constant push and pull between risk and reward adds a brilliant layer of tactical depth as you decide whether to embrace the madness for a combat advantage. The Altars presents a fascinating, high-concept sci-fi narrative. You are Jan, a simple maintenance worker stranded on a hostile alien planet. To survive and operate a massive mobile base to escape, Jan must create altars, alternate versions of himself, based on the different life choices he could have made, like Jan, the reckless physicist, or Jan, the driven engineer. It's a game that asks what if, and then makes you live with the consequences. The gameplay centers on resource management, base maintenance, and managing the increasingly complex, multifaceted personalities of your altars. These aren't just different skill sets, they are fully realized characters who remember the life they almost had, leading to deeply personal conflicts, petty rivalries, and surprising moments of teamwork. The whole setup creates a truly unique narrative and mechanical puzzle, as you need to utilize their specific skills while mitigating their emotional baggage. You know that moment when a version of yourself who succeeded where you failed is now giving you attitude? That's the core tension here. This game offers incredible conceptual value, turning a survival premise into a compelling psychological and philosophical exploration. The need to balance the base's physical needs with the emotional needs of your constantly bickering alternate selves is a refreshing and challenging design choice. If you enjoy games that blend survival mechanics with deep character interaction and a genuinely thought-provoking sci-fi story, The Altars is an ambitious and rewarding experience that proves gaming is the perfect medium for exploring identity. Undying flips the zombie survival script by giving you a ticking clock. You play as Endling, a mother who has been infected by a zombie bite, and your primary mission is to teach your son Cody the necessary survival skills before you succumb to the infection. This instantly injects a heartbreaking emotional core into every decision, turning standard resource runs into desperate acts of parental love. The clock isn't just a timer, it's a profound narrative device. The gameplay focuses heavily on protecting and teaching Cody. While you manage your own deteriorating condition, you must train him to craft, fight, and scavenge, which adds a unique layer of escort strategy to the traditional zombie formula. Cody isn't just baggage, he develops skills and becomes a necessary active partner, reflecting the harsh lessons you instill. And here's where the emotional depth hits hard. As the infection progresses, your screen blurs and your options narrow, forcing a real sense of panic and urgency. Undying is a powerful, low-budget masterpiece that earns its place on this list by trading typical grand-scale action for intimate, devastating drama. It offers a survival experience deeply rooted in character and theme, providing tremendous emotional value and a truly memorable ending. If you want a zombie game that will test your tactical thinking while also making you genuinely care about the characters, Endling's final mission is utterly compelling. Anima Gate of Memories is a fast-paced action RPG with a heavy focus on deep combat and a dual protagonist system. You seamlessly switch between the Bearer, an immortal being with incredible martial prowess, and Ergo, a powerful demon bound to her, each offering drastically different playstyles. The game excels in its high-tempo, hack-and-slash combat, forcing you to master both characters to tackle the various challenges thrown at you. The core loop involves navigating the Tower of Arcane, an ancient artifact filled with a host of complex, lore-heavy characters and challenging bosses. The combat system shines here, allowing for massive, customizable combos and special abilities. The ability to instantly swap protagonists mid-fight adds a kinetic, strategic layer, demanding quick reflexes and smart usage of both close-range and magical attacks. You know that feeling when you pull off a perfect, seamless combo string, switching characters to keep the chain going? That's Anima's specialty. This game provides excellent value for fans of character action games, delivering a deep, high-skill combat system and a rich, if convoluted, fantasy world based on the Anima Beyond Fantasy tabletop RPG. It's a hidden gem that rewards player skill and commitment to mastering its mechanics. For those craving a lengthy, character-driven action experience with customizable complexity and fast-paced battles, Gate of Memories is a rewarding deep cut. Dolmen takes the familiar punishing template of the Souls-like genre and grafts it onto a bleak, cosmic sci-fi horror setting. As a space mercenary, you're sent to the hostile planet Revion Prime to collect special crystals called Dolmen. The game immediately establishes a heavy, oppressive atmosphere, blending biological horror with technological decay. The enemy design, a chilling mix of mutated creatures and aggressive automatons, is genuinely unsettling and sets a dark tone. The combat is methodical, demanding precise timing for dodges and attacks, but it introduces a crucial sci-fi twist, an energy mode that allows you to imbue your weapons with elemental effects and perform long-range attacks. This system is governed by a shared battery, forcing a strategic decision. Do you spend energy on ranged attacks or save it for vital elemental buffs in melee? This constant risk-reward calculation keeps every encounter feeling fresh and uniquely tense. And here's where it gets interesting. Dying means losing your hard-earned fragments, which drives the repetitive, necessary grind of its cosmic cycle. Dolmen offers a valuable hybrid experience, successfully merging the deliberate, high-stakes combat of fantasy RPGs with the resource management and atmosphere of sci-fi horror. While visually demanding, the game provides a compelling sense of isolation and environmental dread that permeates every section of the planet. If you're looking for a Souls-like that feels genuinely distinct due to its unique setting and energy mechanic, this title is a deep, dark plunge worth taking. If you ever thought, I wish Dark Souls had a shotgun, then Immortal Unchained is the game you've been waiting for. This title is a pure fusion of the punishing action RPG formula with third-person shooting mechanics. You wake up as a weapon literally with no memory, tasked with stopping a cataclysmic event. The atmosphere is stark, blending ancient architecture with advanced technology, creating a unique gun-fu sci-fi aesthetic. The gameplay beautifully integrates ranged combat into the meticulous stamina-based melee structure. You must manage distances, utilize cover, and constantly switch between firing powerful rifles, pistols, or shotguns and engaging intense close-quarters swordplay. The bosses, in particular, demand a mastery of this hybrid system, forcing you to exploit openings from afar before closing the distance for critical melee damage. You know that moment when you successfully kite a giant enemy, perfectly landing a headshot before finishing them with a charged axe swing? That's the flow. Immortal Unchained delivers massive value by innovating within a crowded subgenre. It's an unforgiving, high-skill adventure that rewards players for mastering its unique blend of firearm tactics and melee precision. For those seeking a fresh mechanical take on the demanding action RPG, one that puts equal emphasis on the bullet and the blade, this is a wonderfully executed, overlooked gem that offers dozens of hours of brutal, satisfying challenge. Valiant Hearts: The Great War is a deeply moving and unexpectedly artistic adventure game that uses the backdrop of World War I to tell a powerful, interconnected story of love, sacrifice, and survival. It's a game that eschews traditional combat for puzzle solving and stealth, focusing instead on the emotional toll and human relationships forged during one of history's most brutal conflicts. The gameplay is presented in a beautiful 2D cartoon style, which initially feels whimsical until you realize the horrific historical accuracy woven into the narrative. You control 4 distinct characters and a loyal dog, switching perspectives to solve environmental puzzles that advance their individual stories. The mini-games like timing button presses to the rhythm of a heartbeat during surgery or driving through a frantic battlefield add variety without sacrificing the narrative's gravity. And here's where the game excels. It includes genuine historical facts and letters, turning the experience into an educational and deeply respectful historical document. Valiant Hearts provides incredible emotional value and stands as a testament to the power of video games as a narrative medium. It's a short, poignant, and unforgettable experience that avoids glorifying war while celebrating the resilience of the human spirit. If you want a story-driven game that will genuinely move you, combining charming art with historical depth and emotional weight, this is a masterful, must-play narrative adventure. Death's Gambit is a sprawling 2D Souls-like platformer that perfectly captures the sense of scale and demanding combat of the genre while adding its own unique verticality. You play as Soren, an agent of death, traversing the alien and medieval world of Ceridon. The gorgeous pixel art style and the massive imposing bosses immediately set a tone of epic, grim fantasy that draws you into its complex branching world. The gameplay is built on a tight foundation of platforming, parrying, and deliberate combat. What sets it apart is the Phoenix Feather healing system. Your limited supply of feathers must be managed carefully, but you can assign a talent point to permanently increase the stack or improve their function, creating a satisfying meta progression loop. Furthermore, the game's unique class system and talent trees allow for deep build customization, encouraging multiple playthroughs. You know that moment when you perfectly parry a colossal boss's attack, turning the tide of the fight? Death's Gambit delivers that feeling repeatedly. Death's Gambit provides outstanding value through its length, mechanical depth, and sheer variety of challenges. It's a beautifully realized 2D adventure that combines the best parts of challenging platformers and punishing RPGs. For players who appreciate rich pixel art, demanding boss encounters, and deep character builds, this game is a fully realized, rewarding experience that stands shoulder to shoulder with its more famous counterparts. Decay of Logos is an action RPG that attempts to capture the spirit of classic exploration-heavy fantasy games, placing a strong emphasis on discovery and environmental storytelling. You play as a young woman whose village is destroyed, setting her on a quest for revenge, accompanied only by a mystical silent elk. The game immediately sets an atmospheric, lonely tone, dropping you into a world filled with crumbling ruins and hostile creatures with minimal guidance. The combat is slow, methodical, and heavily inspired by the Souls-like design philosophy, demanding careful stamina management and parry timing. However, the unique companion mechanic is what really defines the experience. The Elk Companion is not just a mount, but a part of the core gameplay, assisting in traversal and even light puzzle solving. And here's where it gets interesting. The game features a permanent decay system, where successive deaths can actually degrade your character's stats and equipment, creating a real sense of consequence and urgency. This title offers a deeply atmospheric adventure for those willing to embrace its deliberate pacing and unforgiving mechanics. While polarizing for some, its commitment to a low-guidance, high-consequence world provides a unique sense of reward for players who enjoy solving the environment and mastering the combat without hand-holding. If you're craving a beautiful, melancholic fantasy world with a strong emphasis on solo discovery and a unique companion dynamic, Decay of Logos is a journey worth taking. The Flame and the Flood is a beautiful, melancholic roguelite survival game centered on a girl named Scout and her loyal dog Aesop, navigating a procedurally generated river in a post-societal America. The game's unique aesthetic, combining stylized, hand-drawn art with a haunting folk soundtrack, creates an instantly memorable atmosphere that contrasts sharply with its brutal survival mechanics. The core gameplay loop is split between rafting down the unpredictable, dangerous river and exploring small, interconnected islands. Resource management is king. You must constantly monitor your hunger, thirst, warmth, and fatigue, all while repairing your raft and crafting essential gear. The river sections are high stakes as you try to navigate treacherous rapids and avoid debris, desperately aiming for the next usable dock. You know that moment when you're freezing, out of food, and you finally spot that perfect island with all the resources you need? That cycle is the game's addictive core. The Flame and the Flood offers fantastic long-term value thanks to its unpredictable roguelite nature and challenging difficulty. It's a game about constant forward momentum and the sheer will to survive against the odds. For anyone looking for a survival game with a unique atmospheric charm, a great folk soundtrack, and a compelling narrative thread about hope in a decaying world, this river journey is a wonderfully executed, underrated gem. The Long Dark is arguably the definitive single-player wilderness survival experience, placing the player in the cold, unforgiving Canadian wilderness after a mysterious geomagnetic disaster. This game is pure, unadulterated survival simulation, focusing intensely on realistic mechanics like managing caloric intake, body temperature, gear deterioration, and the constant existential threat of wildlife. The atmosphere is quiet, stark, and utterly beautiful, but perpetually deadly. The value here comes from its two modes, the challenging, open-ended sandbox survival mode and the story-driven episodic Wintermute mode. The sandbox is where the game truly shines, providing a brutal, low-guidance test of resilience and map knowledge. Every choice, whether to push on to the next cabin or hunker down and wait out a blizzard, carries massive weight. And here's where the tension is palpable. The biggest threat isn't just the wolves, but the slow, agonizing decline from hunger or hypothermia, which demands meticulous planning over reckless action. The Long Dark provides hundreds of hours of value through its deep, realistic simulation and the sheer satisfaction of mastering its brutal environment. It's a game of quiet meditation, punctuated by moments of genuine terror. If you want a survival game where the world itself is the primary, magnificent antagonist, offering profound challenge and deep immersion, this masterclass in isolation and endurance is absolutely essential. Fade to Silence is a dark, post-apocalyptic survival game set in a perpetual frozen winter, where you battle not only the elements but also bizarre, twisted monsters born from a terrifying supernatural corruption called the Corruption. As the lone survivor Ash, you must establish a refuge, scavenge, and eventually recruit other survivors to build a functional, resilient camp. The world is constantly shrouded in blizzards, creating a heavy, oppressive sense of dread. The core loop blends exploration, resource gathering, and camp management. What's unique is the sledge mechanic. Using a sled pulled by wolves is essential for long-distance travel, turning your traversal into a strategic minigame of risk assessment. The combat is deliberate and third-person, requiring cautious engagement with the monstrous threats. And here's where it gets interesting. The permadeath mechanic is softened by an intriguing eclipse system, where death is temporary but allows you to retain some resources and upgrade your starting buffs, encouraging iterative progress. Fade to Silence provides massive value by combining challenging, gritty survival mechanics with a strong emphasis on base building and resource optimization. The dark, punishing atmosphere and the unique, creepy enemy designs create a memorable world that constantly pushes back against your will to survive. If you want a demanding survival game that combines a strong narrative focus with recruiting mechanics and a genuinely oppressive setting, this frozen nightmare is a deep, rewarding commitment. Edge of Eternity is a massive, ambitious JRPG that manages to capture the epic scale and sweeping emotional depth of the genre's classics, despite its independent budget. Set in a gorgeous, sprawling world called Herion, you follow Darion and his sister Celine on a quest to cure a devastating alien-driven affliction known as the Corrosion. The visual design, combining high fantasy aesthetics with sci-fi elements, is immediately captivating. The combat system is the centerpiece. It uses a highly tactical turn-based grid, similar to older Final Fantasy titles, but with a modern twist. Positioning your characters on the hexagonal grid is crucial, as environmental hazards and enemy formations constantly shift, turning every major battle into a compelling puzzle. The deep, multi-layered crafting system and the robust skill trees encourage extensive character customization and experimentation. You know that satisfying moment when your perfectly placed area of effect spell wipes out a strategically grouped enemy? That's the core joy here. Edge of Eternity provides immense content value, offering a lengthy main campaign, a huge open world to explore, and a combat system that rewards strategy and planning. It's a true love letter to classic JRPGs, delivering a heartfelt story and a deep mechanical foundation. For fans who miss the tactical depth and grand emotional narratives of the genre's golden age, this is a beautiful, underrated epic that deserves a spot in your rotation. Endling Extinction is Forever is a powerful, heartbreaking survival adventure with a unique ecological focus. You play as the last mother fox in a world ravaged by human environmental destruction, desperately trying to protect and feed your 4 vulnerable kits. The entire game is a testament to the emotional power of non-verbal storytelling, driven by the instinctual fight for survival. The gameplay is a side-scrolling stealth and scavenging exercise. Every night, you must carefully lead your kits out of their den to hunt for food and avoid human poachers and predators, returning before dawn. The mechanical focus is on tracking, resource management, and risk assessment. Losing a kit means losing a part of the narrative, which immediately raises the stakes to agonizing levels. And here's where the game's message hits hard. The beautiful, stylized world is constantly showing signs of pollution and decay, reminding you of the human impact on the environment. Endling provides profound emotional value, delivering a potent, unforgettable narrative about the cost of extinction and the enduring nature of maternal love. It's a short but incredibly impactful experience that is less about traditional gaming challenge and more about emotional resonance. If you want a game that makes a powerful environmental statement, combining simple, effective mechanics with a deeply moving story, this is a necessary, emotionally charged playthrough. This War of Mine is a truly distinct survival game that flips the perspective of armed conflict. Instead of playing as a soldier, you manage a group of civilian survivors trapped in a besieged city, desperately trying to last until a ceasefire. This title immediately establishes a brutal, morally gray atmosphere, forcing you to confront the harsh reality of war from a non-combatant's point of view. The gameplay is divided into day and night cycles. During the day, you fortify your shelter, craft essential items, and care for your increasingly depressed and injured survivors. At night, you send one person out to scavenge crucial supplies, often forcing you into difficult, stealth-based scenarios. The value is found in the constant, agonizing moral dilemmas. Do you steal medicine from an elderly couple? Do you sacrifice one person's mental health for the group's physical survival? Every decision is a trade-off. You know that moment when a survivor breaks down from despair and you realize you have failed them? That's the emotional currency of the game. This War of Mine offers unparalleled emotional and ethical value, providing a deeply human, challenging, and profoundly sobering experience. It's a game that asks you to consider the cost of survival far beyond hit points and loot. For anyone seeking a survival simulation that prioritizes narrative depth, moral complexity, and emotional storytelling over action, this is a truly essential and unforgettable piece of interactive art. Foreclosed is a stylish, narrative-driven action shooter set in a cyberpunk world where your identity is tied to your employment and your life is essentially corporate property. When your identity is revoked, you become an enemy of the state. The game's visual presentation is its immediate hook, using a striking comic book aesthetic that fluidly transitions between cinematic panels and third-person gameplay, creating a sense of constant, dynamic motion. The gameplay is a blend of intense third-person shooting, stealth, and puzzle solving, all tied to your character's implanted abilities. You can upgrade your skills to unlock telekinetic powers, remote hack systems, and enhance your combat prowess. The constant visual change, including split-screen panels during intense sequences, keeps the pacing incredibly dynamic and engaging. And here's where it gets interesting. The story tackles complex themes of corporate control and personal identity, giving the sleek cyberpunk setting real intellectual weight. Foreclosed offers excellent stylistic and narrative value. It's a high-concept cyberpunk thriller that manages to feel unique due to its comic book presentation and fluid visual transitions. For fans of sci-fi action and distinct visual styles, this title delivers a compact, punchy, and fully realized adventure that provides a fresh take on the classic dystopian narrative. Cris Tales is a breathtakingly beautiful love letter to classic JRPGs, most notably for its unique mechanic that allows you to see and interact with the past, present, and future simultaneously on one screen. You play as Cris Bell, a newly awakened time mage, fighting to save her world. The 2D hand-drawn animation is absolutely stunning, instantly establishing a vibe of nostalgic fantasy wonder. The combat system is a sophisticated turn-based affair, with a crucial twist. You can send enemies into the past or future to either de-age them, making them weaker, or age them dramatically, making them rusty and vulnerable. This mechanic adds a brilliant layer of strategic depth, as you must constantly think 3 turns ahead to maximize your damage and exploit enemy weaknesses. The simple addition of time-based button inputs during attacks and blocks keeps the player actively engaged during every single encounter. You know that moment when you perfectly set up an enemy with a status effect in the present, then send them to the future to have that effect amplified? That is the heart of Cris Tales. Cris Tales provides immense aesthetic and mechanical value, combining a classic JRPG feel with a truly innovative combat system. It's a gorgeous, lengthy adventure that rewards tactical thinking and provides a powerful, emotional story about the importance of hope and decisive action. If you're looking for a traditional turn-based experience that feels genuinely fresh and visually captivating, this is a wonderful, imaginative journey. So there you have it, 20 incredible games that absolutely deliver massive value, proving that the best experiences often fly under the radar. Don't let a huge marketing budget dictate your playtime. These titles offer complex mechanics, deep narratives, and unforgettable worlds that go far beyond simple entertainment. Which one on this list did you already conquer, and which underrated gem do you think we absolutely missed? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button, subscribe for more breakdowns, and check out the next video on your screen right now for more hidden gold.